Switzerland boasts one of the most robust economies in the world, with a workforce that is highly skilled. Each year, the number of employees entering the country is closely regulated by the Swiss government. The standard of living is extremely high. It is ideal for expats who want to relocate and take up a new possession. Salaries in Switzerland are also amongst the highest, with great working conditions in the world. It is a very welcoming country, with 25% of its population being foreign individuals. English is a widely spoken language, and there are great career opportunities, a developed infrastructure, and beautiful scenic nature. One of the best ways to immigrate to Switzerland is through work permits. Most foreign nationals require a permit to work in Switzerland. The procedure for obtaining a permit depends on your nationality and type of employment. If you're among qualified non-EU or non-EFTA nationals, for example, managers, specialists, or university graduates with years of professional experience, you can work in Switzerland. You require a work permit even for a short-term employment. You should also notice that the number of permits issued is limited. A work permit may also be issued for self-employment. Spouses of Swiss nationals or persons with a settlement or residence permit do not require a work permit. To obtain Swiss citizenship, you must live in the country for 10 consecutive years and have a permanent residence permit. If you want to know how to immigrate to Switzerland via a work and residence permit, stay tuned until the end of this video. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching. My name is Ahmad Razan. Here in Persia Global, we help those who are in search of better opportunities to work, live, or study abroad. In today's video, I'm going to share Switzerland work and residence permit, different types of Switzerland visas and permits, requirements and procedures to apply for work and residence permit, and finally, how to get permanent residency and Swiss citizenship. If you come from a non-EU or non-EFTA country and would like to work in Switzerland, you may only do so if you are highly qualified, like when you are a manager, specialist, or other skilled professionals. This means essentially that you should have a degree from a university or an institution of higher education, as well as a number of years of professional work experience, language skills, and a suitable age. If you're planning to stay in Switzerland for several years, you will also have to fulfill certain other criteria that will facilitate your long-term professional social integration. The key factors here for longer stays are your professional and social adaptability, language skills, and age. In your work permit application, the most important part is that your future employer must prove that there's no suitable person to fill the job vacancy from Switzerland or from an EU or EFTA country. Also, the salary, social security contributions, and the terms of employment for foreign workers must be in accordance with conditions customary to the region, the profession, and the particular sector. Switzerland is divided into 26 areas called cantons. A canton is similar to a state in the United States. The individual municipalities and cantons are very free, and for attracting foreign immigrants, they make independent decisions too. And therefore, this has both advantages and disadvantages. Language is the key to successful integration when it comes to get permanent residence and then apply for Swiss citizenship. In fact, there are 4 languages widely spoken in Switzerland, and English language could still suffice for your employment. The majority of the population lives in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. About 65% of the population speaks Swiss German, and 20% French, 8% Italian, and some 45% of the Swiss population speaks English regularly. English language use is more widespread in German-speaking Switzerland than in the Italian and French-speaking regions. So for applicants with English language abilities, German-speaking regions of Switzerland have more job vacancies with English language requirements. For long-term stays, more than 3 months in Switzerland, you are subject to get authorization like a work permit in case of gainful employment and a residence permit for family reunification. So anyone wishing to work in Switzerland needs to have a work permit before taking up gainful employment. Besides a valid work permit, in the case of people requiring a visa, like third country nationals, a valid visa is also necessary for entry. So for you to enter the Swiss labor market, you firstly need to find an employer with an employment contract. Then you and your employer should file an application for work permit. To enter the country, you also need to apply for a visa. After your entry, you or your employer need to register for a residence permit. There are 8 types of residence permits available in Switzerland. 3 of them are more issued for highly qualified persons that allow them to work and live. I explain them here for you. A residence permit is a short-term permit issued for both EU or EFTA or third country nationals. This permit is temporary and issued for less than a year. B residence permit is a limited permit but issued for over 1 year. It is also issued for both either EU or EFTA or third country nationals. C residence permit or settlement permit is indefinite, and unconditional permit is also issued for both either EU or EFTA or third country nationals. There are also other permits named G, N, F, C, I, and S. They are mainly issued for temporary residence or asylum seekers in Switzerland that are not the subject of. So as I mentioned, third country nationals are also allowed entry to the Swiss labor market, but they have to fulfill some extra preconditions. Here in the following explanations, I'm going to clarify the most important admission or approval criteria so that you can understand the requirements for obtaining a work permit from the Swiss authorities and can submit a comprehensive and well-supported application. The first criteria to consider for approval of third state nationals to the Swiss labor market is that applicants must explain and document why their admission is in the overall economic interest for Switzerland. To prove this, you can narrow down your job search and job vacancies with less percentage of unemployment rate that I'll explain more about this issue in the rest of the video. Another important consideration is that admissions of non-EU or non-EFTA state nationals are limited. The Federal Council determines the maximum number in the ordinance on admission, period of stay, and employment on an annual basis. So the number of work permits issued to the third country nationals in Switzerland is restricted, and for this factor, the job opportunities are more competitively available. Another point to consider is that third country nationals are only authorized when no Swiss or EU or EFTA national is available for the job advertised. Third state nationals can be admitted only if it is not possible to recruit a person who qualifies for precedence from the labor market in Switzerland or in an EU or EFTA country. Precedence is initially given to Swiss nationals and then foreign nationals with a residence permit, like Permit C, foreign nationals with temporary admission, Permit F, etc. So vacant positions must be registered with the regional employment centers or RAV and advertised via the European Employment System or Euros. Here, employers must also demonstrate to the authorities that a search via the recruitment channels used in the sector was unsuccessful. What the job registration requirement with the regional employment centers or RAV means for employers and job seekers is that in addition to the precedence or priority given to applicants from Switzerland or from countries with which a free movement agreement has been concluded, notice must be given to regional employment agencies of certain job vacancies. The obligation to give notice of vacant positions applies to those professions, areas of activity or economic regions in which the national unemployment rate is 5% or higher. The State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, or SECO, annually updates the list of professions that are subject to the obligation to give notice. So if your job is listed with an unemployment rate under 5%, your employer doesn't need to give a notice to RAV, and you as a third country national has a stronger chance to enter the Swiss labor market. Salary and employment conditions are also customary in the region and sector. Salary, social security contributions, and employment terms for farm workers must accord with local, professional, and sectorial conditions. Some sectors lay down these conditions in a collective employment agreement, which is legally binding at national or at least cantonal or local government level. The authorities also carry out checks on salary and working conditions to ensure that foreign employees are not exposed to unlawful working conditions and that workers already in Switzerland are protected from wage dumping. So good news is that foreign employees have a right to the same salary and the same working conditions as Swiss nationals. Another criterion to consider gaining approval for Swiss labor market and work permit acquisition is based on personal requirements and qualifications. You should know that most admissions or work permits are limited to managers, specialists, and other highly qualified workers. Qualified workers primarily means individuals with a degree from a university or University of Applied Sciences who also have several years of professional experience. Depending on the profession or the field of specialization, individuals with a special training and several years of professional experience may also be admitted. In addition to professional qualifications, certain integration criteria must be taken into account when granting work and residence permits. A person's professional and social adaptability, language skills, and age must suggest that they can become sustainably integrated into the Swiss employment market and Swiss society. Qualifications are checked on basis of a person's CV, their education certificates, and their employment references. The authorities require copies of documents in their original language as well as translations into one of Switzerland's official language or English. If the foreign education or professional training system is significantly different from that of Switzerland, it is helpful for the authorities if documents contain additional information about the training institution and the length and content of training, for example, curriculum, training certificates on examination, subjects taken and results obtained, etc. If your job is among regulated professions like health, teaching, law, social work, and technical professions, your degree or certificates need to be recognized by the appropriate agencies in Switzerland that I will explain about it in the following. You also need a suitable accommodation. Foreign nationals may only be admitted in order to work if suitable accommodation for them and their family members is available. There are some exceptions. You don't need a work permit to go through an additional permit process to become self-employed or take up employment. Exceptions to the work permit requirements are management or specialist transfers in international companies for internships and training and further education in multinational companies in cases like knowledge transfer, etc. Doctoral or postdoctoral students, family members of Swiss nationals and those holding residence permits, an au pair arrangement that involves the temporary admission of young foreign nationals who arrive in Switzerland to improve their language skills and expand their general education through better knowledge of the host country. And finally, for employment following study in Switzerland that applies only to degrees from recognized Swiss higher education institutions. So let's see what is the application procedure for Switzerland work permit. The first step is the application submission that starts with your employer. Your employer submits the application documents to the cantonal employment or local immigration authority. Employees requiring a visa must also submit an application to the Swiss representation abroad that is responsible for their place of residence. The next step is the application screening. The competent cantonal authority employment or immigration office screens applications on the basis of the Foreign Nationals and Integration Act and takes a preliminary decision. Applications approved by the canton must be submitted to SEM for final approval. After first preliminary approval, the final application screening is processed by a state secretariat for migration or SEM that reviews applications according to admission criteria that apply to the whole of Switzerland. The applicant and employer as well as the cantonal authorities receive the official decision from SEM, which is subject to a fee that is payable by the employer. This official decision doesn't permit the employer to enter Switzerland yet. To enter the country, the issuance of visa is done by the cantonal immigration authority that issues electronic visa authorization to the Swiss representation or embassy abroad for those who require a visa based on SEM's approval. The visa can then be collected from the embassy in your home country. The last step to take is done by you. You register with the competent authority at your place of residence in Switzerland within 14 days of entering the country. In fact, you can only begin to work after you have registered. So what are the application documents that are required for a work permit? The State Secretariat for Migration and the Cantonal Employment Services will only process applications if they are submitted in full. You and your employer should submit general documents of precedence, personal requirements, reason for the application of salary and employment conditions. For general applications, you need to fill in an application form. Most cantons make the forms available on their own websites. Some cantons allow online applications. Copy of passport. For precedence, confirmation that vacancy is advertised by the Regional Employment Office or RAV, and within the Euros system, notify your RAV advisor. Copies of job advertisements published in professional journals, national, weekly or daily newspapers in Switzerland, especially online portals and social media such as LinkedIn. Information on other job search efforts in Switzerland and the EU or EFTA area as customary in the respective sector. Also confirmation from an appointment employment agent, information on applications received and reasons that they cannot be considered, or RAV officers can provide the relevant questionnaire. For example, for personal requirements, curriculum vitae in tabular form, proof of qualifications such as education certificates and references, copies of documents in original language as well as certified translations if the documents are not in one of Switzerland's official languages or English. Documents for reasons the vacancy must be filled, job description or duties of the position to be filled, and information on the company. For salary and employment conditions, contract of employment must be signed at least by the employer. This is considered binding by the authorities, or employee transfer confirmation from the foreign employer stating salary, expat allowances, and expenses arrangements. In addition to the documents I mentioned, you may also need to go through the recognition process of foreign diplomas or professional recognition that is required to obtain the right to work in a certain field. Professional recognition offers between regulated and non-regulated professions. For regulated professions, regulated occupations or professions are subject to legal restrictions and requirements. As such, they can only be carried out by holders of specific qualifications, for example, degree certificates, proficiency, credentials, or titles. In such cases, official recognition of a foreign qualification must be obtained from the appropriate agency. Professions in the following fields of work are regulated: health, teaching, technology, law, social work. That you can also find a link in the description section of the video for further details. For non-regulated professions in Switzerland, no official recognition of foreign qualifications or degree is required for professions in unregulated fields of work. Here, the recognition is entirely up to the employer. Swiss ENIC can issue a level confirmation or evaluation for foreign university qualifications, which give access to non-regulated professions, provided that a similar university course or diploma is offered by a Swiss university that is also free of charge. For the last part of the video, as I mentioned, we will see how you can get Swiss permanent residency and citizenship. After you have lived in Switzerland for 10 continuous years, you will be eligible to apply for a Swiss permanent residence permit or C permit. Once you are a permanent resident and have lived in Switzerland for 10 years, you can also apply to become naturalized as a Swiss citizen. Previously, the required residency period before becoming eligible for naturalization was 12 years. You may be eligible to apply for Swiss permanent residence or citizenship earlier in particular cases. For example, if you are the spouse of a Swiss national or a second generation child resident. If you are an EU or EFTA national, you can apply for permanent residence or citizenship after only 5 years. Both Swiss permanent residence and citizenship offer a lot of the same benefits. For example, you will no longer have any restrictions when it comes to employment. You can work for whoever you want and change jobs as you like. You can buy property without restriction, open your own business, and live wherever you want in Switzerland. You would also have access to social assistance and welfare benefits, same as a Swiss citizen. However, the added benefits of being a Swiss citizen is that it gives you the right to vote and to stand for public office, which you don't have when you have a permanent residence permit. But the procedure of becoming a Swiss citizen is longer. Swiss citizenship also brings more obligations, such as having to do military service, applicable only to men aged 18 or 36. Thanks again for watching the video. I hope it could help you get valuable information on your immigration journey to Switzerland. There are also other helpful videos in our channel in different playlists. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. In Persia Global, we are going to help applicants who are in search of better opportunities to work, relocate, or study abroad. Roy Bennett, the author of The Light in the Heart, says, "The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. The past is a place of learning, not a place of living." Until next time, cheers, over and out.